Good morning. In our discussions with individuals performing the role of chair, we're hearing more and more about the role becoming increasingly onerous, and for some, they're now thinking twice about taking on these roles. COVID has had a part to play in this, as those in chair positions have had to navigate through quite challenging times recently, and sometimes prolonging their tenure to play a part in guiding those organisations through and out the other side of the pandemic. As such, there does seem to be a general feeling in conversations we're having of fatigue, some people feeling a little exhausted and cautious about taking on the role of chair in the immediate future. However, COVID or not, has the chair role become too onerous? So we're just hoping to have an opportunity to discuss that today with Emma Scott, who's chair of World Book Day. Good afternoon or good morning.
Yeah, so this is my first chair position. I've been a vice chair before and a trustee for many years. And I've come into World Book Day, which is an amazing charity, but very well established as a sort of campaign, and only brought their first chief exec in 2 years ago. And I've come in as the first independent chair. So for me, it was both the combination of supporting the CEO as she sort of established herself in the organisation, but also the board governance has changed quite a lot as I've come in. So it's really understanding the lay of the land, what is there already, trying to understand where people are coming from the sort of different makeup of the board. Yes, while supporting the CEO. And the CEO has a ambitious strategy that she's put to the board, which we're behind, but it's also that difficulty of coming out of COVID, of trying to level the boat and make sure the boat goes faster whilst not overstretching the team, and bringing the trustees along with us. So I've been in the role for almost a year now. Sometimes you feel like things are going quite slowly, and then other times it feels like you're going very fast. Bringing the trustees along and getting them to play their role will always be the challenge or opportunity for any chair. And I think ways of working, so making sure people do actually come to meetings and not do it all remotely is an important part, I think, going forward. Absolutely. So I think strategically, it's about having a strategic plan that we're all aligned to, and that's what I've asked the CEO to create, and that's a process that we're going through. And then it's really on a practical level. I did introductory meetings with every trustee one-to-one. I have an open door where they can come to me, and vice versa. I will ask for help. We've set up some subcommittees to actually get that practical engagement from subject matter experts about whether it's about income or whether it's about governance, for example. That's gone down really well. We only have 4 meetings a year, and I noticed in my last charity there can be sort of collective lack of memory that goes on. So working with the chief exec to bring people back up to speed quite regularly. I think I mentioned it before, but I think everybody having remote meetings during COVID is terribly convenient. It means that actually we've got greater diversity on our board as a result, but there's nothing to replace sort of in-person meetings. And we've had some away days as well, which I think have been really important. So it's that balance between people are doing this, out of the goodness of their heart, but we do want the trustees to be kind of engaged. And I think culturally, you're always on a bit of a journey when you're chairing a board, because you're coming into a culture that exists already whilst trying to bring new thinking as you go along. So yeah, it's a combination of the practical and the strategic, and you never get it perfectly right. But things like 360 review of the CEO went down really well this year, because every trustee had the ability to feedback. And I think for the CEO, it was really healthy, because 360s tend to be positive. And I think what we as a board need is we need to do a 360 about ourselves for the CEO next year. Well, I was very lucky with our fantastic CEO, Cassie Chubton, who has done a lot of work with the board before I arrived, with getting NCVO run courses for trustees, which all trustees have done, and anyone new coming in. And then we did a chair and CEO course for NCVO at the beginning of this year, which was really enjoyable. It was done remotely, would have been great in person. But then, of course, I got to meet other chairs and we shared our experiences. you're always learning. I will always reflect on the chairs that I've admired in the past, and that's not about style. That's about how you hold the room, how you take contributions. Something I personally find difficult is where I want to make a personal contribution and then have to balance, the interests of the board, but it was ever such. And I think there is a gap in the market for chair support training. It doesn't, even in the private sector, there aren't lots and lots of things out there. But I have friends who are chairs of charities and private companies, and I do take advice from them. But it would be brilliant if there were more resources, and particularly for us who are going in first as a chair, that kind of extra support would be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there's swings and roundabouts, right? You have different times of the year where things are required of you. I think for me, it's mapping out the year and knowing when I'm going to be more needed than otherwise. Having a lot of structure with how I interact with the CEO. So we have a routine every fortnight, and if she needs extra time, we put it in. But for me, for example, on a Friday, I always religiously work from home or don't work all day, but I make that time in my diary for the charities. So I know I'm making sure that they're being prioritised. I think with things like paperwork, ambassadorial work, and so forth, again, it's about having structures in place, making sure that there is a rigor around it. What else? I mean, for me, I now get approached a lot about chairing other charities, because I think once you do it, you do get approached. I will only take on one pro bono because of the amount of work involved, which is quite sad, really, because I'd love to be able to do more, but I still I'm a consultant and I'm a advisor in a day job. But I would strongly recommend it to everybody. But I think it's setting your stall out before you go in and really understanding the amount of time that is involved, and being very honest in the interview process and really being certain it is that, because I think it can be how long is a piece of string when you are a chair. And in charities, they always need as much help as possible, doesn't matter how big or how small. So yes, but we also want to bring more diversity, and we want to bring more women, we want to bring a sort of range of voices. So I think charities also have to think that through, because if they want that change and that difference, they may need to be more flexible about what they need. Certainly, I think the role of vice chair can be really helpful. At times, I was vice chair at Ovarian Cancer Action, and I did it for a set period of time to take a governance framework in. And then, then you don't need one, but making sure that you are delegating amongst the trustees as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time today, Emma.
Thank you.